Welcome. In this exercise and video segment, we are going to do some basic words using Haahaa, the only akkar we've got right now, and all the lagamatras, and you're going to see the power of the language in terms of the written language with Punjabi. Okay, before we begin, I want to do two things. Here's the first one. By now, you should know this makes an ah sound. That's an I, that's an e, a, there's an oo, over here's an over here's an a, over here there's nothing, it's mukta. Over here, o, up to the right is a nasalization, tippi, you should know that's bindi, that's another nasalization. And then finally, you should know that's an aw, okay? The reason I just showed it to you at that speed is that is the speed at which you should be able to recognize the sounds that the various lagamatras make. Because if you're at that speed right now, you're going to do really well because now you're able to quickly recognize what's coming, and that's important. Okay, so keep that in mind. I want you to go at that speed. The second thing I want to do very briefly is point out something that you may have already noticed, but I just want to highlight it. Okay, when I write in English, let's say I write the word ha in English, I will actually write it like this. See, I'm going to write it as neat as I can. Ha. There's my ha. H A ha. Okay, do you see how that's ha? All right, and in Punjabi, I do not write it like that. I will do the following. Okay, I'll grab blue in here because I like this blue. Literally what I do is I draw a line. I get my ha, right? There's my ha. And now I add my kanna. I'm going to do that right there. And lo and behold, I've got ha. So what's my point? What you'll notice is that when it comes to the English language, I write on the line. So the letters are all sitting on the line. See that? Everybody's sitting on the line. In Punjabi, guess what happens? My letters or my akkar and my lagamatras are hanging on the line. So they do not sit, they hang. And as you know, hanging takes a lot more energy than just sitting around. So my point is, in English, you probably noticed, you write on the line. In Punjabi, you're hanging and you draw below the line. Okay? So with that done, let's have some real fun with some real Punjabi words. Okay? First word. You remember ha with a sound? Ha. Okay? Ha. In Punjabi, there is a word ha. And the definition of it is, okay, when something is. So I'll give you an example. Ha be such, something is true. Ha such is true. I'll make up a silly example. Ha very tall, is very tall. So I just combined English and some Punjabi. Ha bahut short, is very short. Okay, so anything with a ha has got an is sound to it. Okay, and we'll come back in that in grammar at another point. Okay, let's do another real Punjabi word. You remember this one? We just did it recently. This one is ha. Okay, ha. And you may recognize it because the definition of it is yes. So if you're sitting around and your mom calls your dad, he'll say ha, you know, ha, or you might say ha. It's not very polite, by the way, but it is says it's another way of saying yes. There's nicer ways, and we'll come back to that later. But what you probably didn't know is if I take ha, add the oo sound to it, and then nasalize it with a tippi, I get hoom. So you might have seen your dad sitting around saying written out, it's really hoom. Okay, so I got ha and I got hoom. Well, here's the neat thing. I can actually make a phrase, and you ready for this one? Let's say I've got a real Punjabi phrase. If I take those two and I write hoom ha, and you got to listen for that nasalization. I'm not getting enough of that nasal sound, but ha. It's actually a real word or a real phrase. And what you're basically saying is this individual is nodding at me and saying yes and just is listening carelessly. Sort of like when you're sitting there with your mom and dad and you're just saying, you're not really paying attention to them. Let's be honest. You're saying, yeah, in Punjabi, they may say, that son or daughter of mine, hoo-ha. He's doing hoo-ha to me, okay? Just nodding and listening carelessly at me. Okay, next word. Are you ready? Next word is he. Okay, he. And the definition is even, indeed, very. I don't have an example for you right now. because it's probably more complex, and I'll come back to it. But right there, you have already seen a bunch of words. Are you ready for the next one? Here's a more complex word added together. Okay, here we go. Here's haha, and you know this sound, right? It makes a ha sound. You should know that by now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and if I now double it up, just like, guess what? Like this. What do I get? I get ha ha. And if you go to your Punjabi English dictionary, it sits there as the 5th letter of the Punjabi Gurmukhi alphabet. Ha ha. Okay, there's our friend ha ha. If I write it out correctly in Punjabi, I actually write it out as you're looking just to the left, but it's actually my akkar, ha ha. Okay, let's do some funky, funny Pinglish stuff. And you probably are asking, what is Pinglish? Well, let me tell you what is Pinglish. Pinglish is you take an English word and you use it as a Punjabi word. Either you say it or you write it. And it's much faster just to give you a quick example. So here's a donkey. Okay, there's my donkey. And in English, donkeys say hee-haw, hee-haw. You probably heard in your school when you were growing up, you know, hee-haw, hee-haw. Well, Punjabi donkeys are far more sophisticated than that. They don't say hee-haw, but let's pretend that you wanted to write out hee-haw for your mom and dad to really impress them. What would you do? Let's make it one word. So the first thing you would do is, guess what? You would get the he sound. And how do you get he? Ha-ha, bihari he. And now you need the ha. So stop and think, how can I get a ha? Right? What does that sound like? It sounds like ha-ha with, yes, you guessed it. There it is. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Again, there's really no Punjabi word, but I just took a English word and converted it over to Punjabi, and I call it Pinglish. And the reason I show this to you is later on, you and I are just going to have some fun in some of the other lessons. Okay, for now, I'd like to thank you. I want you to go back and pick a couple of the words and then write them out 10 times just so that you start getting the gist of it. Okay, get the hang of it. Hang of it in Punjabi. Anyhow. Once we do the next akkar, we are going to add more real words. And by the time we're done the next akkar and the next lagamatra, you're going to say, oh, wow, I added that many more words to my vocabulary and I'm able to write them. It is going to be awesome. Until then, listen, I'd like to thank you for your time. And listen, as always, you just have a great, awesome, wonderful day.